Well, that was extremely disappointing. Obviously, to be in a position to win the game at the end of the game and to have the script totally flip on you with a block and then them getting into field goal range, it's tough. It's tough to deal with, but you better learn from each and every opportunity that you go out there in the wins and in the losses, and you got to move on. So, um, I thought there were a lot of things, a lot of positives in regards to how our defense competed and played through 4 quarters. Um, but one thing that we have to get corrected is, I mean, when you have 14 penalties in a game, it's going to be tough to overcome that. So we got to do a much better job of coaching the fundamentals, the details, and then we got to lock in at a higher level in regards to some of the controllable penalties, whether it's false starts or offsides or whatever you have. Um, but ultimately, this is a total team sport. I thought we played well enough defensively to win the game and didn't do a good enough job on offense and on special teams.
What happened on the Jordan's interception? They saw.
Yeah, so they were playing man coverage, and the guy Delpit did a hell of a job. He passed off Tuck to the inside backer, and he fell off in the window. So, that's a bad play call. We shouldn't have called that play. That's on me.
Where's that play call? You're expecting to get the ball over the tight end, right?
Yeah, but a lot of teams will do that when they're playing man free. They'll pass off an inside breaking route and then fall into that next window. So, um, yeah, it's just a bad play call. And like, what's unfortunate is our defense was doing so well, and we knew we couldn't make a deadly mistake like that offensively to give them a short field, and that's exactly what happened.
You talked about running the ball there, like,
Yeah, we did. We absolutely did. We figured we'd have man coverage, which we got, and they did better than we did. So give credit to their staff and their players to go out there and execute it.
In a general sense, it seems like everybody's problem, the line of scrimmage on your offense, or bringing people up. What do you have to do? Why haven't you been able to make them pay for that more? What do you have to do?
Well, number one, I think early on they were getting to the quarterback. So like a lot of those longer developing routes, if you're going to play man coverage, you got to be able to protect a little bit better. And I think it felt like from my perspective that he was under duress for the majority of the game. And so we got to look at just some of the things that we're asking our guys to do in terms of protection scheme. We got to do it better. We got to come up with better stuff for our guys to put them in better positions to go out there and compete.
You talked about cutting penalties. That's such a general thing that's hard to get a finger on. How do you cut down on penalties when they're happening in all different areas?
Well, it just depends what kind of penalties you're talking about. I think when you talk about pre-snap penalties, that is concentration, focus, just being dialed in the moment. When you talk post-snap penalties, whether it was we had a bunch of holding, that comes down to fundamentals and technique. So we got to coach it better, and we got to be harder on our guys if we see it in practice, because that's where it all starts. Um, you know, so we just ultimately we got to do a better job across the board.
What was the challenge getting anything going in the passing game, just with how much pressure they were getting in some of the
Yeah,
defenses?
so like it felt like you couldn't allow stuff to develop downfield, and when they did a good job of just mixing their coverages. I got a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz. He was better than us today, and better than me specifically.
what were you hearing on the sideline about these false starts? Was the crowd noise that great? Were the teams different? Was there anything?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I gotta go. We gotta regroup, get together, talk about it in the moment. It's not like I'm dwelling on that, asking like it's just like next play. And so that's something that I'm sure I know our position coaches are talking about, but I'm not gonna sit there and have a dissertation in game like you're trying to make adjustments, and obviously when you're going backwards like it's hard to play football competitively in this league when you're sitting there in long yardage situations.
Could you see what happened on the field goal line?
It looked like too much penetration.
you think the team as a whole came into this game based on how the first 2 games went with the right mindset and not taking these guys lightly?
Yeah, I mean, look at how our defense played. I mean, you give up, ended up being 13 points, but really there's no points after 3 quarters. So, like, I thought, yeah, I mean, certainly you could look at it, that's why it takes all 3 phases, but I don't think it was lack of mindset. I really don't. I think it was just we as coaches got to do a better job of putting our guys in better positions, and then ultimately we got to go out there and execute whatever it is we're asking these guys to do.
There were several times where you're trying to catch them with 12 men, and sometimes, even though it looked like you didn't actually sub, the refs would stop it and let Cleveland sub. What's the rule there? And are they handling that correctly?
Yeah. So one time we had one of our receivers walked off the field and then came back on the field, so they stopped it in that instance. Another time we had a tight end come on the field when we were trying to switch personnels, and like that's happened too many times this year. So we've got to get that fixed. Like, we've got to hold our guys, and especially if when a guy like Myles Garrett's out of the game, you want to try to jump the ball to keep him out of the game. You know.
So you want to keep doing trying to catch them with 12. You want to.
Or yeah, we caught him with 12 the one time, and we got a free play out of it. The one we had a challenge.
Were Tom and Banks trying to just cut it through after, getting injuries and was that the opposite?
Obviously, yeah, I would say if a guy plays one play, and so we got to have some discussions about, like, we can't allow that to happen. You know, it's disappointing when he plays one play. Banks, I don't think that was the case. He got, it was a different injury, so it is what it is. That happens.
2 more, please.
Coach, it might be early to ask, but do you think that you coach against a defense as good as Pittsburgh's defense was today?
They did a hell of a job. They were ready to play. They were gassed up. I knew it was going to be a challenge. I mean, you look at what they did the first 2 weeks of the season versus a really good Cincinnati offense and versus a really good Baltimore offense. I mean, really, when you look at it, I think that score was totally misleading when you watch just, just the natural progression of that game. I mean, they had a fumble return for a touchdown. They had a pick down to the 5-yard line. So I knew going into this, like, it was going to be a dogfight, and it was going to be a challenge. And what's disappointing is, I felt like you could argue that we lost the game offensively by making a critical error in a critical situation. And so, that's a tough pill to swallow.
I know, it could be a specific situation, but we ran Love out on bootlegs, and he got some decent yardage. Could you done that more?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the call I was mulling in my head on that 3rd down. And I wish, hindsight's 20/20, and made a bad call. Should have gone with what I thought initially, and didn't work out.
Is it just because they're pursuing?
Yeah, they were selling out pretty hard. I mean, they made it a challenge, and that's a good defense. They got good personnel. They play extremely hard. You talk about just all the little things that are cornerstones of a great defensive football team, and it's obviously you got to have talent, you got to have sound scheme, and you got to have relentless effort to the football, and I think they have all that.